Hello and welcome back everyone to another Survivor review and recap for Season 50 in the Hands of the Fans, Episode 6. A lot is happening in this episode as the three tribes merge into one and then be put into three groups and then three tribal councils because of the blood moon twist, and there is so much to go into. Let's not waste any time as we start off where last episode left off. Two people were voted off last week with Angelina and Charlie. And we start off this episode on Cila where Jonathan is feeling some type of way. Charlie was ultimately blindsided and left the game, but Jonathan was also blindsided, feeling like he had all the numbers going into that tribal council, and then all of a sudden everything switched up on him. However, in the middle of talking with Dee, a boat is coming directly at them. We see that there are two boats, one going to Cila, one going to Cala, and when they open up the mail, it is the merge, and everybody has to gather everything that they own, bring it onto the boat as everybody is heading to Vaatu. Now, before everybody arrives to Vaatu, Ozzy hurries up and tells Emily and Christian that he has a hidden immunity idol. And I actually think that this is a really smart idea on Ozzy's part because it feels like within minutes of everybody arriving, that gossip hits the beach and all the cats are let out of all the bags. Truly, boats arrive, everybody gets off, talks for a few minutes, and then instantly everybody knows that Aubrey has an idol. The story is that Rick gave Aubrey the idol, which Rick tells Aubrey about that, but really it's Christian who found it, gave it to Aubrey, and now all that's going on. Then everybody knows that Ozzy has an idol, and by the time it gets back to Ozzy, he's like, man, I was wanting to keep it a secret for at least a little bit. So you have information and gossip just running amok, as well as everybody is making deals with every single person. I got your back, I got your back. The thing is that everybody can talk right now, but nobody will know who truly has each other's backs until tested at Tribal Council. Now, if merging with 17 people wasn't enough excitement, we have another boat coming over dropping off some more information where Tiffany reads it and says that there is an advantage hidden at the camp, and the first person to find it will get this advantage. Once she says 3, 2, 1, go, everybody scatters, running frantically, looking in trees, up on top of rocks, running around every which way. Nobody has a plan, everybody is just trying to look into every nook and cranny. Rizzo was trying to be calm, cool, and collected. He was so close to it, but eventually it was found by Ozzy, who opens up the advantage, and it reads, congratulations, you're going to Exile, and you get a +1. Ozzy packs up his bag and tells Rizzo, you're coming with me. For a little context, once everyone was reunited, Ozzy and Cirie were able to have a conversation one-on-one where Cirie tells Ozzy that they need to bring in Rizzo to be a trio. Cirie is going to bat for Rizzo, saying that he's a really good kid, as well as he has an advantage. I told him about the extra vote you gave me. You need to get good with him because then the three of us could really run this game and go very deep. So what better place to get to know somebody than Exile Island? So Ozzy and Rizzo get on the boat, make themselves comfortable over on Exile Island. The advantage is that Ozzy and Rizzo are away from everyone, but they will be exempt and immune from this episode's tribal councils, essentially bypassing this blood moon twist, leapfrogging into the final 14 and the jury section. While on Exile Island, they talk, they bond, they do this thing with the idols where I'll show you mine if you show me yours. They swap stories, they seem to be connecting, and it looks like Cirie, Ozzy, and Rizzo are going to be a fearsome trio moving deeper and deeper into this game together. But that's enough of Exile Island. Now everybody packs up, meets up with Jeff for this week's reward, immunity, and twist challenge. Now, I just mentioned the Blood Moon twist. What this twist entails is that the 15 competitors will be broken up into 3 teams of 5, where one person from each group will win individual immunity. The major part of this twist is that all 3 teams will go to a tribal council one by one, and there will be a total of 3 people voted out in this episode. Call me surprised, call me shocked, as I was not expecting a triple elimination at this point in the game. This was quite surprising as we just had a double elimination last week. Now we're having a triple elimination, and all 3 players who are voted out will not make the jury. So you're coming so close, but being chopped right before you would have a chance of having a say in who wins Survivor 50. The immunity challenge this week is a Survivor classic. It's where everybody has to last the longest on these tiny footholds. There's 4 levels of footholds where you get some foothold, little foothold, tiny foothold, no foothold basically. Where the last person left on each team will win individual immunity, but the last person overall left in the game will win food in the form of Applebee's for their team. There's a lot on the line here, and everybody gets divided up by random draw. On the purple team, you have Genevieve, Rick, Christian, Aubrey, and Joe. For teal, you have Dee, Suri, Colby, and Coach. And for the orange team, you have Jonathan, Camilla, Tiffany, Chrissy, and Stephanie. Now with landmark seasons like this one, Survivor 50, these classic Survivor challenges hit differently in my opinion. This is a challenge that we've seen over the course of many seasons. I mean, we flash back in this week's episode to Coach's original season, Tokachin's, highlighting him doing this exact challenge. And getting to see challenges like this stand the test of time and getting to see newer players versus older players in these challenges is just like peak Survivor in my opinion. Everybody does a pretty decent job on the first footholds. Emily is the first player to drop trying to go from level 1 to level 2. Everybody else hunkers down at level 2. It was when trying to go from level 2 to level 3 is when a lot of people dropped. Over on teal, it comes down to Dee and Coach, where Coach drops, going to the last footholds. Dee wins individual immunity for teal and then instantly drops afterwards, taking them out of contention for food. Over on purple, Rick was the first one to drop there, and then in a matter of seconds, it was just like boom, 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 with Aubrey, Genevieve, and Joe dropping one after another, leading to Christian getting individual immunity for purple. It was 1 versus 3, as orange still had Camilla, Chrissy, and Stephanie. As they were trying to battle it out for individual immunity, Christian already had it, was trying to hold on as long as he could for food, but he drops. Orange is gonna get Applebee's no matter what. Now it's coming down to individual immunity. Camilla drops, and then eventually Chrissy drops. Stephanie wins individual immunity and will be safe along with Dee and Christian heading into the Blood Moon Twist tribal councils. Now to keep the next part a little bit more focused, I'm going to go through the strategy of one group into their tribal council, then go into the strategy of the next group into their tribal council, and then strategy and then tribal council, instead of trying to do strategy, mixing around everything, and then trying to do 3 tribal councils one after another. Let's start with the easy team first of purple, because coming back to camp, Genevieve knows that it's not looking good for her. She got a bad luck of the draw, being on the beach with Aubrey, her #1 target, but also Christian and Rick, who are BFFs, and the tale goes that Rick gave an idol to Aubrey, so it seems like they are a strong trio. Genevieve is trying to think, how can she make it past this tribal council? She tries to talk with Christian, but that's not going anywhere. If the numbers weren't already against Genevieve, when she's talking with Joe to try to strategize with him, even Joe's like, look, I think it's the end of the road for you. Joe and Genevieve seemed really cool over at New Kalo, but at this point, Joe doesn't want to be on the wrong side of the vote. So going into tribal council, Genevieve knows that the only way that she can make it out is playing her shot in the dark. So when everybody goes to vote, Genevieve comes back with a scroll, hands it over to Jeff. This is where Aubrey has her hand on her immunity idol, which she said she was going to use no matter what. But once Jeff opened up the scroll and it said not safe, Aubrey was like, I'm going to stand down. I'm going to hold on to this thing, which was the right move. Once the votes are read out, it's all 4 votes are dumped onto Genevieve. She is voted out of the game, and on her way out, she opens up her bag and hands over her beautiful maroon/red coat and hands it over to Aubrey. Even though they have been feuding and rivals for this season, this was such a good sign of respect, sportsmanship. It was very wholesome. It brought emotion out of Aubrey. I really like this moment as Genevieve was eliminated from the game. Now, the one thing I do want to say about Genevieve being voted off here, this is the moment where I think the Billie Eilish boomerang idol is kind of a bust, because Genevieve put in the work, found 2 hidden idols at 2 different beaches, had to send them off. The 2 idols that she found are not in her possession, but they're both over on Exile Island. As she's on tribal council, as she gets a bad luck of the draw. I think to win in Survivor, you need to be good in a multitude of ways, but also get lucky, and it just feels like luck wasn't on Genevieve's side at this moment in this game. But really looking at her resume on paper, finding 2 hidden immunity idols, yet you couldn't keep one of them on you, you had to send them out. I just think it's unfortunate for Genevieve in this moment and how her game ultimately ended. Let's go over to Team Orange, who first heads over to the sanctuary to eat their weight in Applebee's. They come back to camp, and this is where we hear that there is a split right down the middle. We have Tiffany and Camilla, who wants to vote out Chrissy. Chrissy and Stephanie want to vote out Camilla. Jonathan is perched right at the center. Initially, he shook hands with Camilla saying, "Chrissy is it? You got my word." But after some talks with Chrissy and Stephanie, Jonathan is having different thoughts. As well as just last tribal council, Jonathan was blindsided by Camilla and his other past tribe mates to get out Charlie. So I'm sure there's a lot going on in Jonathan's mind. And so coming into tribal council, we know that 2 votes are going on to Chrissy, 2 votes are going on to Camilla, and that 3rd vote is for Camilla. Jonathan votes for Camilla, locking in her being voted out, and she is the next one gone. Now in the preview to next week, it looks like Jonathan is going to be on Dee's bad side, as we know that Dee, Tiffany, and Camilla were a strong trio, so it could work into Jonathan's favor for voting out Camilla and breaking up that trio, but it could be a big target on his back moving forward. Now speaking of Dee, let's go to Teal, where Coach gets caught in a lie when talking with Dee. Coach said that Emily told him last night that she wants to take out Dee as soon as possible. And Dee goes, "Why didn't you tell me this last night?" And Coach goes, Coach, who already had a target on his back, now has an even bigger target on his back when Dee and Emily talk about this lie, and Emily and Dee want to vote out Coach this time around. Colby is injured and also doesn't have a vote. They're thinking, maybe he gets med evacuated and gets pulled from the game, so why not just take Coach out now, and in 2 days' time, possibly Colby also gets taken out. They think that this is a great plan, go up to Suri, and Suri's like, are you sure about that? Yeah, we can get rid of Coach, who talks a lot and is always scheming, but Colby is way more trusted and has a lot more people on his side than possibly Coach does. You can't trust those blue eyes on Survivor Beach. What Suri says almost gets instantly validated, because once she leaves, Colby sits down to talk with Dee, and Colby's like, if you do me the solid of getting me past this tribal council, I'll go talk with the others. And he starts naming off like half the players left in this game to say, I'll vouch for you with all of them. Truly, the easy vote would be Colby. So coming to tribal council, it feels like this is Colby's swan song, as everything gets very emotional. Colby talks about reflecting over his past Survivor seasons, what he's learned over the course of his life, and how much this means to him to be here on Survivor 50, doing it again at 50. Then Jeff dives deeper into the legacies and the paths that Coach, Colby, and Suri paved for the newer players, and it's very emotional for everybody there, except for Emily, but it is a really wholesome, touching moment that if you are a legacy player or an icon of the game, if you're gonna go out, this is kind of the way to do it. So everybody goes and votes, and for nothing, Colby is voted out of the game. He has the biggest smile on his face. He gives everybody words of encouragement, says I love you to multiple people, and then heads out. And that's where this episode ends. There was so much going on. I mean, you first have the merge, which I thought was going to be lively, which it was. Then you had the twist of Ozzy and Rizzo going to Exile Island. Then immunity, reward. Then the blood moon twist of 3 people being eliminated in 1 episode. I mean, over the past 2 weeks, 5 people have been sent packing. This game now feels like it's just flying by, and I'm kind of hoping just to slow down a bit. I know that we have 14 players left in the game. We're heading into episode 7 midway through this season. And I think that this is a great time to start slowing things down, seeing people's games unfold, seeing alliances start to really take form, and just see what are the rippling effects of all these different tribal councils, of so many significant decisions being made in such small timing. I feel like we haven't been able to catch our breath for the last 2 weeks, and I would really, really like to start seeing a lot more of really solid moves being made in a bigger setting. And I think that starting next week is where everything will really start hammering it home of what we're going to see from here until the final stretch of the game, and I cannot wait to see how everything goes. But what do you think about this episode? Let me know down in the comment section below. What do you think about the blood moon twist? What do you think about the advantage of Ozzy and Rizzo going off to Exile Island? Are you sad to see any or all of Genevieve, Colby, and Camilla be voted out this week? And what do you think could be the impact going into next week's episode? I want to hear everything you have to say about this episode down in the comment section below. I now want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really soon with more Survivor content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.